Alright, let me be real with you about something. When people talk about forgettable WWE title reigns, Damian Priest's World Heavyweight Championship run always ends up in the conversation. And look, I get it. On paper, he had all the pieces. He's big, he looks like a champion, he can work, but something about this whole thing just never clicked. And once you start pulling the thread, it's there to see why. Let's go back to where this whole thing started. Money in the Bank, 2023. One of the hottest crowds WWE has seen in years. And who did they want to see win that briefcase more than anyone else on their show? LA Knight. That man had the London crowd in the palm of his hands every single time he got close to that briefcase. That building was crazy. Not a polite applause, not a nice reaction. We're talking a full-on stadium eruption. People losing their minds. The kind of reaction money can't buy. The betting markets had him as a favorite. The crowd wanted it. The moment was right there. WWE just had to take it. They didn't. Damian Priest grabbed the briefcase instead, and you could feel the air go out of the building. Not because people hate Priest, but because WWE just passed one of the most organic moments they had in years. That's problem number one with this whole reign. It was built on a foundation that fans never fully accepted because they saw what should have been instead. Now, to be fair, there's an argument that Priest needed the briefcase more than LA Knight did. Knight was already over. He was gonna get his moment eventually. And look, on some level, that logic makes sense. The briefcase was supposed to help build Priest as a legitimate main event threat. That's what it's for. But here's where things go sideways. If you're holding that briefcase for nearly a year, fans need to believe you could cash it in and win at any moment. They need to feel like you're dangerous, like at any second this guy could walk in and take the belt and nobody will be surprised. Instead, what happened? Priest spends months losing, not just once, over and over again. He lost to Seth Rollins repeatedly. He lost to Cody Rhodes. He lost to Rey Mysterio. And this is the man walking around with a guaranteed title shot in his back pocket. The guy who had the most powerful contracts in WWE was being beaten by basically everybody on the roster. That doesn't make him feel like a future champion. That makes him feel like a prop. Now, that is normal for Money in the Bank, but the briefcase is supposed to create tension. Every time the champion wins a match, it looks exhausted. You're supposed to look at the entrance ramp and think, is Priest coming? Is tonight the night? But when your briefcase holder keeps losing clean, that tension disappears. So when WrestleMania 41 finally came around and the cash-in happened, it didn't feel inevitable. It felt like an accident. Let's talk about how the cash-in actually went down because this is crucial. WrestleMania 41 Night 2, Drew McIntyre finally gets his moment. He pins Seth Rollins. He's a world champion for the first time ever on the biggest stage of wrestling. The crowd is going crazy for Drew. And then CM Punk, who had been in a feud with Drew McIntyre for months, sweeps Drew's leg and drops him. That attack is the whole reason the cash-in works. Priest didn't earn that moment. He borrowed it from the Punk-McIntyre feud. Think about that for a second. The biggest moment of Priest's career happened because two other people were in the middle of a much more compelling story. He was a passenger in someone else's storyline. The crowd wasn't cheering him as a champion. They were cheering the chaos of the Punk-McIntyre situation mostly. Priest just happened to be there with the briefcase at the right time. Typical of Money in the Bank, I get that. But that's not how you wanted his title reign to start. That's not how you build him up as a champion. Once he had the belt, things didn't get much better. His first major feud was with Drew McIntyre, and to be fair, the feud was kind of fire. McIntyre always cooks. He had legitimate grievances. The Clash at the Castle match in Scotland was a big deal. Drew was in his home country. That building wanted him to win more than almost anything, and Priest retained because CM Punk came back and coached through the match. Again, someone else's story. Priest spent his entire reign in the middle of the Punk-McIntyre feud. He was the belt. He was the reason they kept fighting, but he was in the story. The story was Punk and Drew, and that's the problem for a world champion. It was supposed to be the story. The belt is supposed to be what everyone is chasing, but Priest's reign became a device to extend a different feud, not a showcase of a new top star. His match against Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank was good, generally good, and Priest retained, which was the right call. Even that came with some questions, which allowed Priest to keep the belts. There's a pattern here. Priest didn't win because he was dominant. He kept the title because Chaos kept finding his opponents at the right time. Then came SummerSlam 2024, Gunther, and looks, everyone saw this coming from a mile away. Gunther had just won the King of the Ring tournament. He was the hottest act in WWE. Fans were ready for him to be the guy, and Finn Balor's betrayal, which cost Priest the match, was supposed to set up Priest's redemption story. The problem is that by that point, most fans had already checked out of caring whether Priest was champion or not. His reign lasted from April to August 2024. That's roughly 5 months. 5 months with the World Heavyweight Championship. And when it was over, the main thing people remembered was the Punk McIntyre feud that happened around it. That is not Priest's fault. He showed up, he worked hard. He had solid matches with Gunther, McIntyre, Rollins, but the booking never gave him a chance to be the main character of his own story. He was always reacting to something someone else was doing. He was always benefiting from or losing because of chaos he didn't create. The timing was off from day one. Winning the briefcase the same night LA Knight should have won it. Cashing in off the back of someone else's heat. Retaining thanks to CM Punk's interference. Losing because Finn Balor turned on him. Every single chapter of his reign was defined by someone or something other than Damian Priest himself. That's the real reason the reign is forgettable. Not because Priest is bad, he's not, but because WWE never actually committed to making him the center of anything. He held that belt. He didn't hold the spotlight. And in wrestling, if you can't hold the spotlight, nobody remembers your reign. They remember everything that happened around it. And honestly, that's the saddest kind of forgettable because it wasn't his fault. The house was built on a shaky foundation before he even moved in.